Hey friends, Azure Red Hat OpenShift is a fully managed implementation of Red Hat OpenShift that is deeply integrated into the Azure control plane. This is a one-of-a-kind solution offering the best of OpenShift with proactive 24/7 management and support from Microsoft and Red Hat. Kavitha Gowda is here to show me how to deploy and connect to an Azure Red Hat OpenShift cluster today on Azure Friday. Hey friends, I'm Scott Hanselman and it's Azure Friday. I'm here with Kavitha and we're going to learn about Red Hat OpenShift on Azure. How are you?
I'm doing good, Scott. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm excited to learn new things. And I've been trying to learn about Kubernetes and doing on-prem Kubernetes with Red Hat OpenShift. Apparently it's very popular and now we've partnered with Red Hat and we've got a solution with OpenShift in the cloud.
Yes, that's exactly right. So we have Azure Red Hat OpenShift as a joint product between Azure and with Red Hat. And it's best of both worlds, I think. It's the stability and the world-class cloud platform provided by Azure and the leading on-prem Kubernetes platform from OpenShift.
Sounds cool.
Awesome. Let's take to our just a quick PPT, just to go through a quick intro about this product, and then we'll get into the demo.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say for our viewers that we have two kinds of OpenShift offering on Azure. One is the OpenShift container platform. You bring your own OCP onto Azure, you manage it, and you go for it. And what we have done is we have created a joint product called Azure Red Hat OpenShift. And it's a joint product provided fully managed and supported by both the companies. So that's the one that we're going to talk about today. And let's go to the next.
So if I understand correctly, what's going on here is that I can bring my own OpenShift container platform. I run it on virtual machines. I own the virtual machines. It's kind of like driving a stick shift. I control everything. It's my own management. I know how to manage OpenShift. I know how Kubernetes works. I bring my own license and I just run it on hardware that is provided by Azure versus kind of OpenShift as a service where the hard parts are managed by us.
Yes. Exactly right. You got it. Perfect. So this is the one that if you had to run, as you can see, the responsibility is completely on the customer. And we've provided only the platform support or the infrastructure support up here. And you have to manage, maintain, deploy, update, patches, everything. And what we do is the fully managed Red Hat OpenShift, where both Microsoft and Red Hat will manage all your cluster, monitor and operate your VMs as well. And hence, this is a fully managed offering. And it makes sure your nodes are secure, as well as, we make sure that your patches are upgraded. And then we have a good rolling update process as well. And you can see here is that the customers have to only worry about their application lifecycle, management of their application, and not worry about anything regarding the underlying Kubernetes or managing the Kubernetes or the infrastructure. We kind of take care of that jointly by both Microsoft and Red Hat. And this product is, as I said, it's jointly offered. That means we engineer together, we provide support together, and we innovate and develop together. And if you see this as an enterprise-grade operation, what I want to say here is that this is a secure by default offering of OpenShift and the cloud. So this is a best secure platform for OpenShift and cloud. The reason I say that is we make sure we provide private cluster capability, and we're also bringing in an egress lockdown scenario for this cluster. So that enables it to be the most secure, as well as providing all the compliance that's required with FedRAMP and high trust. And we're also working on FEPS, which we are going to release in a month or two. And I don't think so it's necessary to say that OpenShift itself as a Kubernetes, provides you all the data operation requirements and the different integration with the CI/CDs. And the best part of all this is being a Azure Red Hat OpenShift product is you can now integrate with the beautiful ecosystem that we provide you on Azure, and getting to connect to all our databases and to all the first-party services like monitoring, the key walls, firewall, front door of the walls.
That's great. Yeah, it really is best of class. Once you get into that ecosystem and you get all those other services available to you, because you've got full control with software-based networking, you're able to control all of that stuff in and out of your Kubernetes cluster. I'm curious, you've got a lot of certifications here, a really impressive SLA. Is that only with the fully managed version, or what happens when you're on the VM version? That's really more on you to certify your own things?
Yes, this is only on the fully managed, the Azure Red Hat OpenShift version, and I don't think so we provide any SLAs for when you are managing OpenShift.
That makes sense, and that's another good reason to think about getting Red Hat and Microsoft involved, because they know how to run those apps with high availability and all those great certifications.
That's right. And also making sure that as this OpenShift is a vertically integrated product, that is, they come with their own core OS, right? So any updates or any secure vulnerabilities are patched sooner, and we update and upgrade the patches faster. And if our team feels that your cluster is vulnerable, they make sure they update your patches automatically. And as a customer, you can also set up the different channels to update your cluster with fast channel, stable channel, etc.
Right.
But we also have your backing. We make sure we run those and check and run any secure patches needed as fast as possible, so you are secure for your applications.
Yeah, that term that you said, vertically integrated, some developers might not be familiar with that concept, but the idea that we'll take control of the really challenging parts of that supply chain. And that was really showcased in that first slide, the slide before this one, where you showed your responsibilities, and then it just jumped up and it's like, look, let us handle the hard part, and you just worry about your apps.
Yeah, I think that's the best part of this particular product.
Very cool.
And I'm very excited, and I'm here to announce that we have Azure Red Hat OpenShift and Azure Government, and we are going public preview at Ignite. This is a big move, yes, and this comes with a huge demand from the Azure Government. And we are going to follow up with all the compliance that you saw in the previous slide for Azure Government as well. So we're going to kick off with FedRAMP IL5 and other compliance FIPS and all of the other before we go GA on Azure Government.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Awesome. So I think let's get on to the demo now. Let's see how to create this cluster.
Let's do it.
Yes. And I just want to give here the command in the command line prompt. I've just listed that I already have another cluster, and we will go ahead and create a new cluster. And sometimes the cluster takes some time, so we are going to create and then switch to our existing cluster to showcase the features of the product. But it's quite simple to create a cluster with the arrow. All you have to provide is your resource group. And your name. And to save people's time, I'm just going to copy and paste the remaining set of commands.
Okay. So that AZ is the Azure CLI, and ARO is the Azure Red Hat OpenShift, ARO.
Yes. So I think in the field, acronym for this is ARO. So whenever you hear ARO.
AZ, ARO. Got it.
Yes, exactly. So perfect. Let's go with it. Awesome. So here is what we're doing here is that we're creating a cluster, basically asking you to provide the VNets, and there is a concept of master and worker, different subnets for each one of them. And there's a pull secret. So this is the, you go to the Red Hat Cloud Services console, and then you pull a secret from there, and then you provide it to the Arrow cluster. That way you get connected with the Red Hat Operator Hub and the registry and the other things. So this is how you'll see it in a minute, how you can open up the Red Hat console and you're connected. Boom, you have everything there. So that's a thing. This is mostly for the Operator Hub and the registries mostly. So all I have to do is this, and then we are all ready.
While you're doing that, of course, the green parts are PowerShell variables that you set beforehand with the name of your resource group and your VNet and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
I see.
I just went ahead before and created a resource group cluster and a VNet. And
cool.
Now I'm creating the cluster to just save time around this. And while this comes up, what we are doing here with the Arrow is as I said, on the Azure side, we are trying to provide you that world-class infrastructure, and we have a CLI command lines for CURD operations of this cluster. And so all the create, update, delete upgrades are all provided here. And also as I said, the Azure Arrow cluster can be a private cluster. There's a concept of private and public. And if you enable, there you go. So I don't have enough number of.
Oh, interesting. So look at that. So when people do demos on Azure Friday, sometimes they feel bad if they don't work, but look here. So you've got already 86 cores in use. So you're doing a lot of big work on Azure Red Hat OpenShift already, and you're looking for more cores. So then you here at this point, you'd make a quick support ticket and they would allocate you another 30 or 40 cores, right?
Or you go back and delete other clusters and then make the time. So this should have, if I had the cores, it should have created the cluster. And it usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes after that to provision all the compute. But I think
I'm curious, if I may, I'm curious, it's once, like it says it needs an additional 36 cores. That's a lot of compute. How do you size this? This is pretty big stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah. So you can definitely go ahead and then say what kind of SKU you want, as well as you can say how many of the worker nodes and then master nodes that you want. By default, what we do is for master, we provide, for worker, we have 3 instances of worker, and then we have 1 instance of master, and then there are DSV3s. And then if you multiply, you're going to get some of these numbers. As I said with Kubernetes, one thing that also I think is a good thing to touch upon is the master and the worker, both of them are on the customer subscription with Azure Red Hat OpenShift. You might not see that with the Azure other cloud provider Kubernetes, but in this case, as this is a fully managed service, we put both the master and worker on the customer subscription, and the system, and at the back end, the team manages if there's anything that goes wrong with the master as well as the worker nodes.
Right. And I can see on the pricing page here that you start out with 8 CPUs on the general purpose master, and then your nodes are usually 4 or 8 depending on your sizing. So you can see quickly while you're just kind of using your own personal account here, you can see that you could use a lot of cores really quickly if you're not thinking. Cool. Okay.
That's right. So then I think we'll just go ahead and maybe look at our existing cluster that I've created beforehand for this.
All right.
Let's pull that up. And here it is. So once you have created the cluster, you can say AZ arrow list credentials. So I'll just type in the command into our, just for people to know. So you just type in this command, and then this will be able to give you the credentials for the cluster. And you use this credential, and as you can already see, it provides you the OpenShift console link when you list, and then you click on that link and then provide these credentials to connect to your OpenShift console, and ta-da, there you are. You're now into your OpenShift cluster. And this is where I want to highlight that we, as on Arrow, we provide you CLI for your CURD operations on Azure, but your day 2 operations, management of your application, and even management of your cluster, the scale, etc., they're all in the OpenShift. I don't think so there's a necessity to repeat those things in our CLI, because you can always use the OC command line or even kubectl command lines to look at your applications. So that's one of the most important. The reason is we want to make sure we use both the ecosystem equally and take advantage of what each one of them are best at. And that's the idea here.
That's a really great point, actually. I appreciate that you brought that up, because if we tell people who love Red Hat OpenShift, they love Kubernetes, like, come over to Azure, use all of our tools, and you have to learn how to do this, learn how to do that. What you're saying is you bring the tools that make you happy, that you're already familiar with, and you'll be successful on this platform.
Yeah, you can use everything that you've already been using on your on-prem. And many of the customers are in a hybrid scenario. They look at coming to Azure Red Hat OpenShift when when they already have applications on OpenShift on-prem. When they're coming over to cloud, they don't have to change anything. All they have to do is just architect their VNets on Azure Cloud, and then create a cluster, and then they'll use the same CI/CD pipelines, application management, the data operations, cluster management, etc.
Cool.
And here I'm in an administrative view, and I don't want to go into detail of all of this is. I think it's standard OpenShift at this point. You can go look at the workloads, and I've already created 2 workloads here. And then you can go and look at all of the division of the workloads, etc. One thing that I want to go here is the compute, because as I said, we provide the compute here. But the good thing is that we have integration with OpenShift, and it's similar to how you would have done in other environments where you go and create a machine set, and then you'll see existing machine sets. These are the machine sets that you have today. On this cluster, as you see, you get the 3 workers, which I had said before. And then you can go and create a new machine set. When you create a new machine set, it automatically creates your those machines on Azure. And you can manage all of that from the OpenShift cluster. You don't have to go back to Azure to add additional VMs. So that's the advantage of here. I can quickly try. So we just released Spot instance, Spot node support, and I can try to very quickly add a YAML here that does the Spot node for us. So we can go very quickly on that one. And it's all YAML based updating here. And you can definitely have, if people are new to OpenShift and they're trying to, if you're an Azure customer and trying to come out to OpenShift, you have all of this information in OpenShift documentation, how to write these YAMLs, etc. I just have copied one of the ones that I've created before. As you can see, the provider is the Azure machine here, and I'm saying, hey, DS4 V3, so 4, actually not 3, right? Like, I mean, 4 CPUs is what I'm asking for. And I'm saying here, the Spot instance, I'm trying to find where my Spot is. Yeah. It's up here, it's the Spot. So here's what I'm saying is I want my Spot VM options. And that should be able to create the Spot VM nodes for us. And let's try to create. Hopefully the demo gods are good with me today.
I hope so.
Yeah. So once you finish, you should be able to see that I've created a new Spot instance, and you at this point there's a 0 of 3. And again, if Spot, it depends on the availability of the spots, etc. in the region, and you'll start seeing this number ticking up once as it starts provisioning the Spot instances for the.
And just for context, if I understand correctly, a Spot instance is some unused compute that you can get at a discount. Like I might not want to buy a whole computer or reserve cores. I want them on the spot, kind of just-in-time instances.
Yes.
Even.
And you can take advantage. I think the most important thing of the Spot is low priced, right? So you can take advantage, and you can also set the max price, saying you make sure that I can have Spot instance until this price, and after that I do not want a Spot instance. And then you've been deprovisioned with a Spot if the price increases. So it's the unused compute that Azure provides you with that. And they have a lot of support on various different SKUs. You might want to see if your SKU is supported, but DS V4 should be definitely supported. We can also obviously go back to the command lines here, and I'll say get notes. I think it's still in the provisioning, and I think after a few minutes we can come back and check if it has provisioned these Spot nodes for us.
And I noticed that you're using that OC command line again, showcasing the fact that it's real Kubernetes, it's real OpenShift. You use it with the tools that you like.
Exactly, and I can also do kubectl get nodes. So you can use whichever that you're comfortable with, and whatever actions that I performed here, they can all be done through your OC command line. That's usually what the customers do. So you can just use your OC command line to manage your clusters. So that's with some of this, and remaining things are auto-scaling, etc. One thing I want to bring attention to is that you still will have the entire operator hub that the Red Hat provides. All different operators that you could install on OpenShift is also available for Azure Red Hat OpenShift. So one thing that I want to talk about is the group sync. So GroupSync operator is a community provided operator, and this one is the one that we recommend for Azure AD integration with Arrow. This one, we can say that this particular group of people can have access to the projects that you have created, your application projects you have created. So you can directly say this particular group to this project is the ones that have access, otherwise they don't have access. So it's very niche, simple, and way of doing an AAD integration into Azure. And there's also, we have released another operator called Azure Service Operator. And this operator is, through this operator, you can install various different Azure resources on your Azure subscription using a YAML-based language, right? So I've already installed this. So if you go up here, you just click on your Azure, and you can see various different all the different APIs that we support. So you can definitely install a Azure VM scale set if you want to, or you can do a Key Vault or your SQL Server, anything that you want. As so, if I go and say, we can try one of them, or if I say MySQL Server, you can say I'll go create an instance, and then you provide a YAML and you provide this information, and then at the end you say create. So that way you can create your Azure resources from OpenShift onto your, it's completely integrated with Azure. That's where it makes me happy about. And along with these, we also have Arc integration with OpenShift, Azure Arc integration, right? So Azure Arc integration, Arc provides as VM integration as a single pane of management of your VMs wherever it is, right? And Kubernetes and data. So Arc for Kubernetes is integrated with OpenShift. So OpenShift is a certified conformant platform for Arc. And what I've done, you can always go and just run AZ connect, AZ Arc connected KX and connect your cluster. And I've already connected my cluster. And if you click, you can see these are all the integrations that you can take advantage with Azure Arc. One thing that I want to highlight here is you can see how we have GitOps, and GitOps is also provided with the OpenShift. So here there's options where customers can pick doing it through the Azure if they're already familiar with Azure ecosystem, or you can use OpenShift ecosystem. It provides that flexibility to you. And you can layer Azure policies on top of the Arrow clusters. And I think one of the most important that are you can also see it's already tested some of them, and then it's telling me one of them is non-compliant. It's just my test where I say that there should be a namespace of this type. So it's run and it already said it's not compliant. So these things can be, all the Azure ecosystem can be easily attached to the Azure through Arc integration as well. And one of them is the monitoring. I think monitoring is a way, it's whichever way the customer likes to integrate, right? Log analytics and the monitoring. As OpenShift also provides you various different kinds of monitoring solution. They come with, Arrow comes with Prometheus by default for your metrics, etc., but it only for 15 days, has the data for 15 days. But you can use other ELK stacks and channel that ELK stacks to other third-party services. But you can also go ahead and enable and configure Azure Monitor and Azure Log Analytics to be able to view, to send all your metrics to monitoring and manage all. If you have other services on Azure, you have everything at one place. So, and we see many of our customers using monitoring and log analytics on Arrow as well. So they have this one view of everything for all their resources on Azure. So these are various different integrations that we have enabled with Arrow. So Arrow comes with best of both the worlds. So we have not just enabled one way of integrating with Azure, we have enabled through OpenShift itself, OpenShift MachineSets and all the construct that they come with. We also integrated with operators where you can create Azure resources. And we've also integrated with the Arc and others. So you can go and work through it and take advantage of it, whichever way you like it.
Very cool. So people can learn about this at azure.com and go learn all about Red Hat OpenShift on Azure. Pick the solutions that you want, integrate it with the solutions that you already have, bring your own VMs, or hopefully do the fully managed stuff that you showed us right there, which is really amazing.
Yeah, yes. And the fully managed stuff is supported jointly by both Red Hat and Microsoft as well. So you can definitely raise a ticket whichever way you want on the Microsoft
Fantastic.
Azure side.
Great support from both great companies. I'm learning all about Red Hat OpenShift on Azure today on Azure Friday.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Azure Friday. Now I need you to like it, comment on it, tell your friends, retweet it. Watch more Azure Friday.